Okay, I think we are ready to go. So, hi everyone. My name is Jan Bednář, and I lead the AI-driven analytics competency here in Adastra. I hope you are all doing great. Thank you for logging in, and welcome to our broadcast this morning about this amazing tool called ThoughtSpot. And this tool is basically something that can help you to analyze data without the need to build any kind of reports, without the need to go into IT and request anything and waiting for the reports, let's say days or weeks. Before we start, I just want to say something about the partnership. We choose ThoughtSpot because we think that ThoughtSpot can can help our customers to do the step forward and be ahead of the competition. You will see that analyzing data can be really easy, just like asking simple question on Google, searching for, let's say, new shoes. So this is all from me, and now I wanna hand over the words to my peers from ThoughtSpot itself, which I'm really happy that they joined in today, and they will walk you through the tool itself, and then they will talk about the use cases. So
thank you, Jan. This is Benjamin. By the way, I'm not sure why my name is Daniel Nazari. I'm Benjamin Kohler. I'm the Regional Vice President in charge of Partner and Alliances for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And very happy to be here. And thank you, Adastra, and Jan for inviting us to present. So as Jan said, I'm just trying to pass the slide. Yeah, you probably never heard about ThoughtSpot, but we are quite a revolutionary solution that we've launched 8 years ago. And just to let you know, we're a company of 600 people worldwide. We have raised roughly $558 million through various very prestigious venture capitalist funds like Lightspeed, SAP, Sapphire Venture, which is the fund of SAP, which you all know, Fidelity, Silver Lake. And the company is trending on a very high growth, one of the unicorn, as we say, with 108% growth year over year and more than 100 million run rate business. As Jan said, we came into a market, but not to copy the technology that were existing. And Click, Tableau, Microsoft Power BI is probably all technology you've worked with or you're working with today. We are very complementary to them, but we are really bringing the next generation of analytics platform with two things. The first status we analyze when we get to market is we behave more and more with mobile, and when we have a questions, we go directly on Google or any types of software to ask questions and try to find the answer. And when we are in the work environment, and especially with data, we really want to get a straight answer to a question that we have, and not being able to rely on someone to build a report that eventually you'll get in a couple of days and get an answer. And this is basically what ThoughtSpot invented, which is the Google or search engine for the data. And you will see in the demo that Daniel will show you after. We can go and search in many databases, many applications today, and straight away you empower every business user or data scientist to get access to the answer. That's number one. Number two is around AI-driven insights. So we have our artificial intelligence and machine learning technology that will constantly spot and try to find anomalies. That, hey, did you notice that you sold 3x more cars in this shop in the north of France, or in the south of Poland, or in the north of Czech Republic, etc. So wherever it is. Or did you notice that this person sold 3x more of this product in this shop? So this will be spotting you and thinking just things that are related to me, and you will see that on the demo. You start to see some of our customers. We have very large customers with, Vodafone, Walmart, Caterpillar, JD Sports, Daimler, BT, and I'll share a bit more about those use cases in a second. So you would agree, I'm sure, that data are, exploding right now. And right now, the challenge in every day of our job and your job is how can you get the right insight that's going to help you do your job, or how do you provide the right insights to different people in your organization. And this is actually even more true in this COVID time where we are at home, where we cannot just leave our desk and go talk to a data scientist and say, hey, can you help me run this analysis? I'm stuck. No, you're at home, this guy's at home, and eventually it's going to come back to you with the answer in a couple of days. So it's more important than ever to empower business users to make decisions wherever they are, whenever they need it. And the truth is, by nature, when we are an enterprise, there's a very few data scientists. And that's the problem all our customers are telling us again and again that they are facing. There is 1.5 million data experts in the companies today, with billions of people working. And in average, customers are telling us they need a minimum of 5 days to get a report. So let me explain. British Telecom was like this. They were using a technology that I mentioned earlier. And this is a business case that today, where we have 1.2 million customers of BT, enterprise customers, okay, companies of customers of BT using ThoughtSpot every day. But before they were using it, they were receiving their bills, British Telecom bills, and they were saying, hey, you owe us 30% more than the previous bill. So of course, as the head of finance, when I receive a bill like this, what's the first thing I do? I call British Telecom and says, can you explain why are we above 30%? And basically, everyone was doing that. And every time the sales guy at BT said, okay, let me check, let me run a report, and I come back to you. Net, they had so little data scientists that was doing that, and that they had to create reports for every single company to be able to understand their bills and how their hundreds of thousands of people were behaving. It was taking them 3.5 months to provide an answer. However, the customer needs to pay the bill on a 30 days notice, not 3.5 months. That created a lot of unhappy customers, and people were leaving British Telecom for this reason, going to competition. So when they start to work with ThoughtSpot, we put this into their British Telecom portal, and we empower people like I'm the head of finance, who has the highest bill in the organization. Very simple question. What are the lines that have not been used in the last 20 days or 15 days? And all of that to say that this is an example of, this is not a pre-built report all around this. And from that, this is how you create the report straight and people asking their own questions. So with that, we want to create an analytics platform that is simple, smart, and fast. Okay, and from Google, YouTube, and Uber, this is the technology we use, and this is how we created ThoughtSpot. So this British Telecom example had a huge impact because it was fast, simple, and smart. It increased the Net Promoter Score by 48 points for British Telecom. Stickiness in customers, new link into customers and BT, allowing them to sell new services on top of it. Okay, so this is really a big impact. But I can talk about other use cases like Walmart, where they've increased their margin by very significant numbers, which they even shared in their annual report conference this year. You probably wonder how we fit into this Gartner Magic Quadrant, which is the reference every organization look at. So we are the only vendors that went in the leaderboard in the past 9 years. And in reality, it took us 6 years to reach the upper right corner, when Click took 18 years or Tableau 10 years. Okay, so this is really a big impact on how we got to the upper right corner. And this is the 2nd year in a row that we're seen as the top leader. So when I mention customers, we play across all verticals, and I'm sure you would recognize many of those brands from the financial services on the left, with the like of BNP Paribas, PwC, Ernst & Young, Société Générale, and many more. But also in the consumer and retail, Nike, Mondelez, all the Toblerone and chocolate bar we all eat every week, or the Apple as well is a big customer of us, but also in the technology arena with the likes of Cisco, HP, etc. So very large enterprise that choose to use ThoughtSpot. Very often on top of Clicker, Tableau, and Power BI at the beginning, and over time they see that there's much more usage of ThoughtSpot than any other solution, because we don't price on number of users, we price on just the quantity of data. So we empower an entire organization to be able to search, okay? And same with healthcare and life science, okay? So with that, I think it's time for you to see the solution, and I'm going to provide stop sharing and provide this to my colleagues, Daniel.
Thank you, Benjamin. I am not allowed to share screen, so I probably need to have the same rights as you, maybe become host.
Let me do that now. I don't know, make host. Here you are. You should be able to do it.
Thank you, that's working. And hello everyone, Daniel here from ThoughtSpot. I'm in the sales engineering role, working together with our partners like Adastra and Jan in particular in your region. My background is very much BI, and I'm more on the technology side. So I used to work for Click and Tableau also in similar roles in the past. I want to show you a demo. I know that we're going to talk about a number of different use cases with you in about 15 minutes or so. For the actual demo, I'm going to be using a procurement use case. And this is really the landing page of ThoughtSpot for the end users. You can see that, after a successful login, the user will see the landing page, which starts with search your data. As we go through this demo, I think what I really want to make sure it comes across and you understand is that the reason why ThoughtSpot came to the market was not to be it didn't come to the market as a data visualization tool initially, which a lot of the other vendors in the BI space have done. But it came to the market to be a Google-like search engine for business data. And with that, you will see that with search, it means that you can actually roll out BI to a high volume of end users, non-technical users that can interact with data directly. So things to bear in mind is high number of users, high number of variety of different questions that you can ask ad hoc, and also think about large volumes of data. So these things at scale. So this landing page, just to quickly go through it, as a user, you can go and search your data. You also have favorite theme boards, they are dashboards. I kind of come back to you in a moment with that. There is KPIs that I'm following, regardless of which dashboard. You can have KPIs that you carry with you as well on the phone, where you can track things on a daily basis, as an example, and you can see if something is going up or down and be alerted quickly. There is also what's happening in the organization. So think about consumer life experience in technology. The experience is very personalized. If you're logging into your social media, or if you're using something else similar, you will always be given information from the system that is personal to you. And this is what the landing page is like here. You can see what information is trending, right? If you have a Netflix account, as an example, you log in, you can see what movies are trending. Here we're talking about analytics, data, and pinned dashboards. What are the dashboards that other people are looking at? What are my team members in my organization up to in data and sort of different sets that they work with? And then at the bottom it says, did you know? That's where the first part is powered by our Spot IQ engine. So Spot IQ is the name of a feature that does AI-driven calculations of data. And that means that the system is analyzing data for you automatically and also on demand. In this scenario, it's automatic insights, meaning it always scans the data sets that you have access to as a user, and it looks for anomalies and trends and other interesting insights that it will bring to you. So these are the questions that you may never ask as a user. In a recent POV with an insurance company, we found an insurance claim fraud use case in their organization of that insurance company. There was one person who was claiming car insurance every week, and the organization had no idea. Why? Because there was a lot of data that they were analyzing in that regard, and they had to, because of the scale of data, aggregate it up to weekly levels and monthly levels and report it that way. So the granularity was lost, and nobody was asking a question about a certain user. And this is how it came out. Now, if you think about procurement, I'll just open up one of these dashboards as an example. Dashboards are not new in our industry. Specifically our competition, they all have visualizations and dashboarding. What makes us really unique is that if you look at these dashboards, anybody could really create them. Non-technical users are enabled to create them, and that comes from search. So the basic concept here is that you can go and search any data you like. A central BI team or data engineers are part of an IT organization. What they do is controlling data sets. They control access to data, and they control what data is made searchable with a number of steps that we have in place for that. But once you make data searchable and you put control over it, people can come and search this. So in procurement, we have customers who are using us across different industries for procurement use cases. If you put yourself in the situation of a person in the procurement department, a sourcing manager, they typically want to go and ask a lot of different questions, but data sets are large, they are very granular, and they are still increasing, right? To be able to ask a quick question that was never asked before is incredibly valuable when you are trying to make purchasing decisions. When situations change, like in the time of COVID, how can you make a good purchasing decision? How can you negotiate better deal with suppliers? So a purchasing or a sourcing manager can come in here and say, I want to see my spending. These are not pre-canned questions. These are questions that you can ask of any of the data sets that you have been allowed to see. So I can go and say, I want to see spending across multiple categories of my data in the business. And here we go. So in this scenario, there's a category called finished goods that we are spending most of our money on. If I want to see the trend over time, I can write something like monthly, and here we go. Now I'm seeing data across all of the history of what's available. And look down here, right? So what's coming up here? Finished goods is on the top. Down here is a little bit more difficult to see the trend for the different categories we're spending money on. So Spot IQ is again scanning that data for me. And there are things that I wouldn't see so easily that it's trying to help me with. Saying, look at the raw materials, it's trending up. And if I want to change my search at any moment of time, based on the questions that I just want to ask, based on today's situation, not what was thought about yesterday, I can come and change that. I can say, well, I just need the last 12 months of the data as an example. And again, instantly, with speed, you get a response. Now, if you look down here, it says actually the raw material is now going down. The trend is going down in the last 12 months. So historically it was up, but now if you look at only 12 months, it's going down. So again, constantly Spot IQ is there to help me as a business user to understand my data better, to understand where the next question might be. The other thing that you want to do when you have lots of data sets with granularity, you want to be able to go into details. You want to go into certain times or products or areas of your business that you're investigating. If I'm looking at the trend for spending on finished goods, I can see the last top point was 6 months ago in January. We were spending quite a lot of money. What happened here? Let's drill down, look at the products. Now imagine if you have 5 or 10 or more terabytes of data sitting there, you can ask questions like this on the fly and get search speed response in seconds, right? One of the issues with large data sets is the fact that you have to aggregate or create averages of data to roll it up, to make it smaller so you can easily ask questions of it. But when you lose granularity of data, you lose insight. Here we have the ability to go into as much detail as we want, regardless of data size, and take different cohorts of the data on the fly as we need it. So I'm looking at my top products here. Let's say I want to see top, something that I've never done before, top 17. Anything that you want to really say, you can ask here. I can see my top 17 products by spending in this category. Maybe I want to go into number 4 here, drill down and see who's the supplier for that product. Look at this now. I now know that I have 2 suppliers in this area that I spent so much money with 6 months ago. Okay, so if I am now as a sourcing manager, you think about that person. What do they want to do? They want to find ways of saving money, finding ways of maybe negotiating better prices from the suppliers. Things that they may want to look at is the unit cost of products ordered, the quantity of ordered products. Now, you see, when I started type in the search quantity, I'm halfway through, it is like Google suggesting what I may be asking next. So a good search engine, and I know that you might have seen search capabilities now from different BI vendors, but search is really a very complex technology to build. One of our initial founders of ThoughtSpot, he was one of the first few hundred people in Google, and others are coming from Amazon and other solutions where there is a search engine at the core of the experience. And we also have people who founded data warehousing solutions and Nutanix and so on. So they came together to create a search experience that's very unique for business data at scale. And what I really want to say about that is that search is not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be as good as Google today. But reality is, if you look at the market stats, just 1 year ago, Q2 2019, I was reading this in a report, 94% of all searches was done on a Google platform. Why not Alta Vista or Bing or Yahoo, like back in the time? Nobody's using them anymore. Because Google is good in so many ways. And I could spend 1 hour with you maybe talking about this. But just to give you 1 or 2 examples, what Google is so good at is they index websites as more than any other search engine, and the content within the website at a very granular level. Now, translate that to a business world. You're looking at a data warehouse. We are very good at indexing all tables within the data warehouses, making it all available. And we are indexing tables and the table relationships in a schema and down to the cell level value, the rows and columns of a table. We can index everything very well so that it becomes available for search with a very natural way of asking questions. And we also personalize the experience with search. We personalize the experience with AI and machine learning. The AI is suggesting insights that you may not even ask about. If you go and search something on Google, just try writing banana in Google. You roll down to the bottom of the page, it says what other combinations people ask related to banana and some other words, right? This is what's happening in the search. When I say quantity, it's giving me quantity ordered on the top, because typically other users of this data set say quantity ordered. They don't go and say quantity laid. That's why quantity order is on the top. We learn from the usage, we personalize the experience. So here we go, quantity ordered. Purchase order number is another one that typically I ask, as well as cost saving opportunity. You can see these are questions that I asked so many times before. That's why it comes up on the top. And here I have built myself a report, right? As a business user, I've created myself a very specific report on a specific use case where I'm looking to save money for the purchases of a certain product from the main 2 suppliers. And the cost saving opportunity is something that the BI team has created. You know, there's a complex measure that was created so that when I'm adding it to my search, I can see the comparison based on the quantity ordered and the price difference from 2 different suppliers, what the cost saving opportunity would have been if I had ordered from the cheaper option. So as a sourcing manager, I can immediately see that if I had contacted Sophia Trades rather than East West, I would have saved 60 cents per unit cost and total of $270,000 and $84,000 here, a combined of $350,000 just 1 month for one product. Imagine if you have a lot of different sourcing managers that can do that on the fly on a weekly basis. How many millions could they potentially be enabled to look at and maybe even save by better negotiation with suppliers? So this is how it's happening. Now you might be thinking, because I know some of you are relatively technical in the room and you have worked with other BI tools, and you think, well, how is it coming together? What do I need to do for this search to actually work? You know, all the sort of different data related challenges that you might be thinking about. The search engine is a relational search engine, meaning when you are typing, it will find by the indexes that we have done over an entire data warehouse or a schema, how the data will be joined together on the fly when you ask the question. No pre-joins, no pre-aggregations, no summaries or marks, data schemas as they are, okay? This is how it happens. The computations, the combination of different attributes and filters based on what I'm typing in the search is being identified, and the join of data is happening on the fly. So we don't need to denormalize data sets because there are some challenges with that. We don't need to change the structure. If you have data warehouses, fantastic. If not, a lot of organizations are still investing in data warehouses where they can centralize data. We love that, and we use them as they are. That's really one of the reasons why search becomes so powerful in ThoughtSpot, because also in that sense, you can have large volumes of data and you can search across so many different combinations of the data as a business user. And we generate a SQL on the fly. So no more coding, no more reason for me as a business user, if I am stuck, to have to ask necessarily for someone to generate a SQL for me to get the data, and then I can do some additional analysis. So the structures and the processes might change a little bit in how we deliver BI, with the opportunity of rolling out BI at high adoption rate to thousands of users in very short time. So one of our customers, Canadian Tire, they went from nothing of ThoughtSpot to launching it to 5,000 users in 3 months. Adoption rates are super high. So if you talk about adoption rates in BI, I've worked for some of the vendors, and you read Gartner reports on McKinsey, they talk about at best 20–30% adoption rate of a dashboard when it's launched. We have customers who come back to us and say, well, we have 80% adoption rate, people coming back every week asking questions and questions. And that's how BI can be scaled out, not just based on scale of data, but scale of the humans, number of people that you can make empowered with data access. So they can base more decisions based on direct data access.
Daniel, seems like we lost you. Like we can't hear anything.
Okay, Daniel. All right. Can you hear me, Jan?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I cannot hear Daniel.
Yeah, I can see that. So maybe I can explain. So what Daniel is going through is Spot IQ. So he did on his visualization, he did look at his is insight, and then from that it says, can you look at what could you find as other insights for me? And what it's showing is if on 9 insights over 429,000 rows, and this took less than 5 seconds overall. And this is the visualization. The interesting piece here is he's showing 9, but actually Daniel was clicking on the upper right. He would show that there's actually far more insight that have been found, but the systems for IQ, based on the search of Daniel, was actually this choosing to display what matters to Daniel based on his previous experience and previous search. And now he's scrolling to all of them. And those insights are really interesting because at the bottom you can decide if you rate it thumbs up, thumbs down, to decide if this is something to be you want to keep moving forward, and the system will learn, as well as if it doesn't find it useful, what should be done, and why it was not useful. So what now is doing is creating a pin board where it's going to pin this visualization to the visualization called Daniel. Here is done. And meanwhile, Louis, can you ping Daniel on SMS, please? So he added those visualizations to the pin board, Daniel, overall. What I was saying earlier, now he's going to put a thumbs up, saying, yes, this insight is actually useful. I'm sorry, everyone, for this Zoom problem. I know Daniel pretty well, so maybe I can do the voiceover of his presentation at the same time. All right. So
if I see the timing, we still have 20 minutes. Maybe we can go on the other topic in that case.
So yeah, just before that, Daniel is clicking on the visualization he just created. So his pin board. So you can see that the 2 visualization he had created has been there. Now what he's going to do is actually going to share with a few of his colleagues. And you can see that you can add an optional message. You can add it to your colleagues as well, or to others. Okay. So it's canceling this. Now what he's going to do is he's going to put it in presentation mode. So what the beauty of ThoughtSpot is, you don't need to export it to PowerPoint or any other software. You can go and present it. And at any point in time, if there was a question in the meeting room with the people around you, they can just go, do a right click and then, go and do a drill down into the different data. Overall, you can see that, it's going back to the favorites and bringing back to the European boards, which also you could create alerts, like if there was a variation of data by 5 or 10%, you will receive this in an email with, what is the change. So you will always go back and trying to understand what happened on, what the data you're typically looking at. So Louis, thank you. I mean, you want to take it over and pass it to Johannes?
Yep. So Johannes, you can present slides, or you need Daniel to give you the host.
I will try. Let's see if it works. Yes, Daniel needs to make me host.
Okay. So apparently Daniel can hear us, but we can't hear him.
Perhaps Eva, can you do it for Johannes?
Yeah, I can see a dash trial. We can do host. Thank you. Guys, I'm terribly sorry for that. In the meantime, if you want to ask question on the chat, we'll be very happy to take the question while we just transfer the host to Johannes and continue the session.
No, it still doesn't work. Oh, sorry. It doesn't work for me.
Louis, it seems that you're the host now. Can you just make a...
It doesn't work for me. Host disabled attendee screen sharing. Okay, seem to have worked now. Great, thank you.
Apologies for the disconnect. I'm not sure what's happening. I hope I could wrap it up, maybe not.
Oh, no problem. You know, I always hire somebody to disturb the demos of Daniel. So usually it's like a band, but the band didn't show up. So just technical issues. Can you see my screen now? Well, I assume you can. So my name is Johannes. I'm Director of Business Value Consulting. And what does this fancy title mean? We not only help our customers in the technical evaluation of our software, that's usually Danielle and team do, but also from the business side, helping customers create a business case or cost-benefit analysis. And the way we do that at ThoughtSpot is a little bit unique. We do that before project investment, but we can also back after a successful implementation at 30, 60, 90 days and see if, you know, these things work out as planned and what do we need to tweak to make the partnership with the customer successful. And I brought 4 different use cases to you today. And Daniel already covered kind of the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, finance use case around working capital. I also will talk to you briefly about a human resources workforce contingency planning use case, how to do business continuity planning and IT monitoring. And the last one we're going to talk today about is supply chain operations or supply chain resilience. So working capital is kind of very interesting because it's a economic climate, and the way that works is that you can work on reducing day sales outstanding, means you can collect on your invoices faster. You can reduce your days inventory outstanding, means you have less inventory at hand. And ideally you want to increase your days payables outstanding, so you want to pay your suppliers later, because all that is going to improve your cash conversion cycles. It means you're going to have more cash at hand, and right now cash is king because of COVID and how the economic situation is growing. So an example here where we've done this before is the company Avnet. Avnet is the global distributor of electronic parts. They do about 20 billion in revenue worldwide. They have a large presence for Europe and Munich, Germany. And it's quite interesting. They have many, many different areas. They serve the automotive industry, and they're struggling, but they also supply parts for ventilators for hospitals, and that business is booming. So we've worked with them for a couple of years to reduce their accounts receivable, so their outstanding invoices, because each day outstanding invoices is $45 million in cash that's stuck, and it is typically 8% interest rate. Each day reduction is worth 4.3 million. How did we help them? They before used Power BI, and they couldn't get to document level, which you need. You need insight on particular invoice. You need to identify areas you can act fast on, and then you need to be able to filter and drill. For example, they found out that number 2 reasons why customers paid is that they either were error in pricing on the invoice, which is understandable. You know, why would you pay if you plainly wrong charged the amount, or that the wrong product was shipped? Anybody questions on this? The next thing is workforce contingency planning to maintain productivity, ensure employee safety and relocation. So it's very important to address and anticipate the needs of remote working. I mean, if you told me 4 or 5 months ago that'd be working remotely and offices are closed, I would probably say, like most of us, you're totally crazy. But now, with COVID, we pretty much all used to working from home, and some customers I talk to, you know, they don't see themselves going back, but you have to make the right infrastructure available. You have to make sure that there's enough VPN access, that you can use remote technology like Zoom. So you need to be very agile. So there, we help in resource planning and allocation, make sure that the workforce is efficient, and that you can actually open up offices back again or production sites if you need to, and make sure you can retain your employees. So an example where we've done that before is PricewaterhouseCoopers. Don't take my word for it. We actually done a webinar with them, which you find on our website. They've been customers for years, and the webinar is recorded. So as one of the big four consulting and audit companies, it's important what impact work from home and travel restrictions going to have on their revenue, because obviously if they have consultants on site and they can't go anywhere, they want to track what are the changes in billed hours by individual, by group, company-wide, and then they want to optimize their staffing levels and billing strategies. So there it was important, which they couldn't do with Tableau, in order to scale and analyze a lot of data on a very granular level. The most granular level they have is a billable hour, and then enable non-technical HR users to access this data. And another one we have is the business continuity planning. There, well, it starts with very simple stuff. When COVID initially hit, I was on a customer trip to Portugal, and in Germany, where I live, everybody had been panic buying, disinfectant and facial masks. And my wife called me and said, honey, could you bring in some disinfectant home? I just said, sure, I try. And, she was as happy as, getting a luxury handbag to get the disinfectant. So I think there have been many disruptions. That's just a personal example. But in the global automotive or chemical industry, where a lot of stuff is manufactured in China, when the shutdown happened or certain border crossings were closed, it's very important to understand, where do I procure on a very granular level? AI can help me to do that and update the data, so I know where can I procure, where can I get some other stuff, to make sure everything keep running smoothly. Where have we done this before? I mean, obviously the financial service industry, CIBC and Carnegie Mellon, they're very interested in this kind of effort, because they have very high requirements for keeping it running and for disaster recovery. So we were able to help them in that area. And the last one is supply chain resiliency. Show me which supplier location might be affected and what the forecast of COVID. So where can I supply stuff for fall, or maybe what stuff is not moving? What do I need to put in a discount so I can get rid of it? That's it from my side. I was rushing a little bit at the end because I wanted to make sure we had enough time for your questions. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Johannes.
Hey, thank you, guys. Are there any questions? Please type it in the chat if you don't want to talk. But before you do, I might have a question myself. I will ask it for the people that always ask us this question, and that is, how do we get the data in? Do we need to build any schema, any data schema, or what do we need to do in order to make data searchable?
So the relational search in ThoughtSpot is understanding schema as is, meaning typically you will have if you would have a data warehouse where you're defining your data, you're centralizing it, we can use that potentially as is. There are different ways of integrating with data warehouses. You can connect live, depending on which data warehouse technology you use, or we could maybe look at recreating one in ThoughtSpot. So there are different ways. The basic concept is, though, think about schemas as they are. That enables you to use existing investments that you have in place, or we can look at maybe creating one with you. There are some native capabilities also in ThoughtSpot where you can, with SQL-like technology, creating a data warehouse. It's going to be by use case basis, I guess. We need to understand your infrastructure better to be able to advise you precisely on that.
Okay, thank you. And maybe one more question. What is the time range if a customer decides to adopt ThoughtSpot? What is the time range within ThoughtSpot can go to production?
So my experience is that we're looking at typically for one use case, it can be around 6 weeks. It can be shorter, it can be longer, depending on the amount of work to be done. A lot of times we're talking about a couple of months. It's not very long. It's not years. Even in a pilot project, if you decide to try out ThoughtSpot, you can expect a few days work. It's not necessarily a very long pilot. We can very quickly show you some initial concepts of how it works.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other questions from the audience? Yeah, I don't see any. So thank you very much, you guys, for today, for the great speak. And I hope everyone enjoyed that. And I wish you a great day and hopefully see you soon.
Yeah, and feel free to come back to Jan, and we will be happy to do a more custom demo for you if you have an interest into ThoughtSpot. Thank you.
Definitely. Yep. Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.